Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tera Vanachari. Muna Tera Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hariva, 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 Hariva. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Nam Vishnupad Paramans Parivradakarya Ashtadasata Shri Srimad Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Iskcon Sanstapakacharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nam Vishnupad Paramans Parivradakarya Ashtadasata Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Sarita Thakur Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Gaudiya Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गौ गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय श्री वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की जय श्री मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की जय श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय गंगा देवी जमुना देवी की जय भक्ति देवी की जय श्री तुलसी महारानी की जय श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय श्री प्रभुपाद ट्रांसडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की जय श्री श्री गौर निताई की जय श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन की जय श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय समवेत भक्त वृंद के निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल।
Hare Krishna. So we are very very fortunate to have presence of His Holiness Bhakti Gaurav Narayana Swami Maharaj. So a brief introduction of Maharaj. So Maharaj, uh, he had accepted this. He had joined full time in Iskcon Vrindavan in 1981. Since after that, Maharaj had become a disciple of His Holiness Hare Krishna Swami Maharaj. Then he traveled and preached throughout UP, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh from 1981 to 84. Maharaj was enrolling life pattern members, lecturing in residential club pandal programs during that time. Later on, he was transferred to Iskcon Kolkata in 1984. He served as a life membership director in Iskcon Kolkata. Till 1989 also he was serving as vice president. During his stay in Kolkata, Maharaj started student preaching programs. Many professional and degree students practice Krishna consciousness under Maharaj guidance. Since 1987, Maharaj started preaching in Orissa, especially to the young educated people in industrial areas like Talcher, Thermal and Angul. Then Maharaj, 1990, he shifted to Iskcon Bhubaneswar, where he started youth preaching program. So that was the first youth preaching program started in Bhubaneswar by Maharaj. Also Maharaj, under Maharaj guidance, temple's first Rath Yatra was conducted. Many public and home programs were conducted. Maharaj translated teachings of Lord Kapila book into Oriya language, and he also took the charge of DT installation for the new temple. In 1992, Maharaj was shifted to Iskcon Juhu, where he served as a life pattern director for until 1993. He also he was assigned a great service to develop Iskcon Govardhan project in 1994. In 1999, Maharaj was appointed as president of Iskcon Govardhan, and he continued to serve there till 2004. Maharaj was awarded sannyas in 2003, and also he became an initiated spiritual master in 2007. So since 2009 till date, Maharaj is engaged in the service of Krishna as zonal secretary for Orissa in the central and south zone. During this time, Maharaj also edited Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita in Hindi for BBT, and since 2010, Maharaj stays in Vrindavan. He has passed Bhakti Shastri, completed TTC1 course. He's also completed zonal supervisor course offered by GBC College. Also, Maharaj is a member of Indian Regional Governing Body and also member of Iskcon India Advisory Council. So, apart from that, Maharaj is also preaching tirelessly in Angul area of Orissa, where Maharaj has established Iskcon Center in 2010, and a very beautiful temple is going to come up there. Maharaj also travels at many places in India and foreign countries, and Maharaj is fluent in Oriya language, Hindi, English and Bengali. So we'd like to welcome His Holiness Bhakti Gaurav Narayana Swami Maharaj to Shri Radha Manuman Mandir by loudly chanting once Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So Maharaj has selected topic that Maharaj will speak on Glories of Bhakti Vinoda Thakur.
Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Bandeyam Sri Guru Sri Tapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavangsya Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Shagana Raghunatha Nitam tang sajivam sadvaitam savadutam parijana sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Visakhanitang Sa He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripasindhubhyevacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo 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 Mahavadannaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurati Namam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So today is the most auspicious day as Srila Gadadhar Pandit, who is in previous Leela, Krishna Leela, Gadadhar Pandit was Srimati Radharani. So Gadadhar Pandit disappeared from material vision today, and also on the same day one great Acharya of our line, Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakur, he also disappeared today. So we are fasting today for a half day, and it is befitting to discuss the glories of Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakur, that how he actually saved the tradition of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As we all know that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was Krishna himself, appeared in this material world to propagate the holy name of the Lord, and at the same time he also, in propagation of the holy name of the Lord, he also offered Braja Prem, Krishna Prem, which was not offered in any other incarnation. This is the special benediction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached all over India and propagated the holy name of the Lord and gave Krishna Prem to one and all, so then whole India, and specifically when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited South India. So the whole South India, the people of South India, they all became Vaishnavas because of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disappeared from the material vision, and his associates also disappeared, in due course of time, the followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they gradually disappeared, and those who stayed behind, they gradually, they are following the tradition of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu deteriorated. The Vaishnavas, they became Sahajas. Sahaja means they did not strictly follow the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very, very strict in following the Vaishnava principles. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself set the example of an ideal sannyasi. So the followers are those who are Vaishnavas after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's disappearance. They did not follow very strictly the Vaishnava tradition. And that's why they were called Sahaja. They accepted whatever was easy for them. Sahaja means what is easy. So easy-going Vaishnavas means they will put Kanthimala on their neck, put Vaishnava Tilak, but they will eat non-veg things. They will not chant the holy name, only they will sometimes recite in their mouth. But they were not following strictly the tradition of Vaishnavism. So in this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's tradition was getting lost. So when Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakur, whose previous name was Kedarnath Datta, so when he appeared, he actually re-established the Vaishnava tradition of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He actually saved this Gaudiya Vaishnavism by his single effort. That's why we are all, those who are coming in the line of Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we are very, very indebted to the lotus feet of Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakur, who is called the seventh Goswami. Like the Goswamis, the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, they established the tradition of Vaishnavism by the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by writing literatures and setting their own example. And Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakur also did the same thing when this Vaishnava tradition was lost. He wrote many, many Vaishnava literatures. And he himself preached, going from village to village. And he also traveled to Vrindavan and other places. And in this way, he actually saved the Gaudiya Vaishnavism from the hands of these Sahajas. So Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakur was the son of Ananda Chandra Datta. who was the son of Rajvallabha Datta. So Rajvallabha Datta was a Vaishnava, and also he was a great sadhaka. And he was living because he was disturbed by his family members. So he left his family and he was living in Odisha in a place named Choti. So he was living there, but Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakur, whose name was Kedarnath Datta, so he was living in his maternal uncle's house at Birnagar in Nadia district. And at the age of 11, his father left this material world. So naturally, his maternal uncle's family, they were taking care of his mother and Bhakti Vinoda Thakur, Kedarnath Datta. Though Kedarnath Datta had two elder brothers also, but those two elder brothers had also left this material world very early, in early age. So Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakur, his study started at Birnagar, and at the age of 9, he also studied astrology. And also at the same time, while he was studying in school, he was also studying Ramayana and Mahabharata in childhood. And he was very fond of eating mangoes, and his maternal uncle has a big garden because he was a Jamindar at that time, very wealthy family. People used to come to see their palace. So Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakur wanted to go to the garden and eat some fruits. But people were telling him that don't go to the garden, there are ghosts in that garden. So Bhakti Vinoda Thakur was very much discouraged in his childhood to go to the garden and eat the mangoes and other fruits. Then he was very inquisitive to know how the ghost will go away and will not do any harm to him. So one day, he asked a lady who was taking care of the store of his maternal uncle. So he asked that lady that how ghost will go away. Then that lady said that you always chant the name of Lord Ram. And when you chant the name of Lord Ram, the ghost will go away. And since then, from childhood, Bhakti Vinoda Thakur chanted the holy name of Lord Ram. And when he chanted the holy name of Lord Ram, then he was not anymore afraid of ghosts. His fear went away. And he went to the garden and ate all the fruits as he wished. And not only this, he also told his friends, this small boys, he told his friends that if you want to go to the garden and eat the fruits, and you will not be affected by any ghost, then you chant the holy name of Lord Ram. So that means he actually preached to his friends to chant the holy name of Lord Ram from his very childhood. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in this way, he studied in the village of his maternal uncle, and then he went to Calcutta, where he studied in college. So that time, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur became a student of Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar was very, very famous in Bengal as a great educationist. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur was his disciple, a student. And Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar once wrote a book. And in that book, he described that this Supreme Lord has no form. As it is natural in India, most of the people, they have this idea that the Supreme Lord has no form, he is Nirakar, which is a concocted idea preached by the Mayavadis. Though the Lord has his own beautiful transcendental form, but the Mayavadis say the Lord has no form. As a result, many people, they have this idea that the Lord has no form. So Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, who was a great educationist, he also wrote in his book that the Lord has no form. And when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur read that book while he was in college, and he was still a student of Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, so he was surprised that his teacher was propagating that the Lord had no form. So he went to his teacher and directly asked him that, have you seen God? And having seen God, you have written that he has no form? So then Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar admitted in front of his student that actually he had not seen God. He was only speculating that God had no form. And since then, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar was very fond of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur also wrote many articles in the magazines. And in this way, when he finished his study, and he was also married at the age of 12. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was married at the age of 12. That was the system that time. People were getting married early. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur got married at the age of 12 and his wife's age was only 5 years old. So anyway, after he finished study, then he wanted to go and see his grandfather, Raj Vallabha Datta, who was staying in Odisha, in a place called Choti. So he came with his mother and wife. And they were walking all the way from Bengal, from Navadip, to Odisha, because that time there was no train, no bus, nothing was there. People were walking to go from one place to another. So he came to Odisha with great difficulty, walking from Navadvip. And when he arrived at Choti and saw his grandfather, who was quite very old, and he was wearing saffron dress. He was staying there alone and doing his bhajan. And he was doing whole day bhajan, chanting the holy name of the Lord, Rajvallabha Datta. And in the middle of the night, around 12 o'clock, he would cook some khichdi, offer to the Lord, and then take prasad once in the middle of the night. And whole day and night he would chant the holy name of the Lord. So when he saw Bhakti Vinoda Thakur with his wife and mother, then Rajvallabha Datta started crying, seeing his grandson after a long time. He had not seen his family members since a long time. So then Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakur stayed with his grandfather, and one day Rajvallabha Datta, so he was sitting, that was noon time, he was sitting and chanting the holy name, and then Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakur, after taking his lunch, he came to his grandfather and sat next to him. Then Rajvallabha Datta said that after my demise, you don't stay in this place. And at the age of 21, you will get a government service. And after that, of course, in his childhood, seeing his horoscope, it was predicted that he will become a great person, Mahapurush. So Rajvallabha Datta said that you will become a great devotee of the Lord. And saying this, he left his body. The soul went out from his body through this Brahmarandra here. Because he was sadhaka, so he left his body and his soul departed through Brahmarandra, like the yogis do. So Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakur stayed there, and then at the age of 21, when, as it was predicted by Rajvallabha Datta, so he got teachership. He became the headmaster of Bhadrak High School in Odisha. And when he was headmaster of Bhadrak High School, he traveled to Cuttack, Bhubaneswar, Puri, and other places to get darshan of the Lord. And at that time, he also wrote a book called The Marts of Odisha. So in this way, he stayed in Odisha for some time. Then he was transferred to Midnapur. So in Midnapur, while he was in Midnapur, Then, no, when he was in Bhadrak, he got his first son. And then he was transferred to Midnapur in Bengal. And when he was in Midnapur High School, so his wife was attacked by a disease and she left her body. So his son was only 10 months old and his mother was with him. So then Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur married for the second time. So his son can be taken care of. And his second wife's name was Bhagavati Devi. And then he gave some exam in law exam. And then he was appointed as sub-deputy registrar in Chhapra district of Bihar. And then from Chhapra, then he was transferred to Dinajpur as deputy magistrate. So in this way, when he was in Midnapur High School, that time actually he got information about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Up to that time, he had no information about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, when he got information of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born in Bengal and he propagated the holy name of the Lord throughout India. So he became interested to know about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when he was at Dinajpur, he got this first book of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. For the first time, he got these books, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and Srimad Bhagavat. Up till then, he had not even seen these books. So then he became very happy by getting these books and he started studying. And when he studied Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and knew about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was very, very impressed that the Supreme Lord appeared in Bengal to propagate the holy name of the Lord to deliver the fallen conditioned souls of this age. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur studied Srimad Bhagavatam and gradually he collected all the Vaishnava literature. And he studied all the Vaishnava literatures. And then he was transferred to Puri. From Dinajpur, he was transferred to Puri as the deputy magistrate of Puri. So that time, he also became the administrator of Jagannath Puri temple. For 5 years, he was the administrator of Jagannath Puri temple. And he was managing all the festivals like Rath Yatra, Snan Yatra, and other festivals in Jagannath Puri. And he was managing so nicely and taking care of the pilgrims that he became very famous in Puri. And he was staying on the Grand Road, just in front of Puri temple, Jagannath temple, that Grand Road, and that place is still there. where Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was staying. Now it has turned into a Gaudiya Math. But when I was studying in Puri College, I had seen that place. There was a thatched roof in that place. Now there is a building, but the original thatched roof house was there where Bhaktivinoda Thakur was staying. So when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was staying in Puri, that time there was a person who was propagating himself as the incarnation of Mahavishnu. His name was Visikesam. He was staying in a jungle and he had his ashram there, and his followers were propagating everywhere that this Mahavishnu has appeared in form of Visikesana, and when the time will come, he will appear and kill all the demons. So, some complaint came to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur because there are some incidents in that ashram where Visikesana was staying regarding women, and there was a complaint to the commissioner of Odisha that time, Revensa. So there was a complaint about this Visikesana, and Revensa instructed Bhaktivinoda Thakur to investigate and punish the culprit. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur went there in the middle of the night with the superintendent of police and discussed with the Visikesana, and next day he was arrested and he was punished by the court and he was in jail for 2 years. But this Visikesana had some mystic power. That's why people are afraid of him. So when he was jailed, then he applied some mystic power. So then in Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house, the members of his house, they suffered from different diseases. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur did not care for his mystic power because he had full faith in the holy name of the Lord. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, what did he do? He caught the hair of Visikesana. He had long hair. Visikesana had long hair and thick hair. So he cut his hair because Bhaktivinoda Thakur thought that the yogis or the mystics, they have power in their hair. So then when hairs would be cut, their powers would be gone. And so that's why he cut his hair and his power was gone. And in fact, Visikesana died in the prison. And when Bhaktivinoda Thakur was staying in Jagannath Puri, he had prayed to Lord Jagannath because he had a very busy schedule. He would sleep less. In the daytime, he would do his duty, government duty. But in night time, he would write scriptures. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written so many books, all based on Vaishnava philosophy. if someone will read Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's books, he can understand all Vaishnava philosophies. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written so many poems and so many novels. So, in this way, he was spending his time. While doing his government duty, at the same time, he was writing literatures. Maybe he was sleeping for 2-3 hours. So, that time he wanted to preach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy. And he prayed to Lord Jagannath that if I would get a son who would help me in this endeavor, then I would be able to propagate Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy and the holy name of the Lord. So Lord Jagannath heard his prayer and he got a son whose name was Bimala Prasad. And when Bimala Prasad was 6 months old, that time Jagannath's Rath Yatra was taking place at Puri. And by the will of Lord Jagannath, the chariot of Lord Jagannath stopped in front of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house. And it did not move further. The king of Puri was worried. He employed so many men to pull the chariot. They could not move the chariot. They employed so many elephants. Still the elephants could not move the chariot. So Lord Jagannath's chariot stayed there for 3 days. And during that time, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's wife, Bhagavati Devi, she brought this newly born son, Bimala Prasad, with her, and she went up to the chariot and put this newly born baby at the lotus feet of Lord Jagannath on the chariot. And when this baby was put at the lotus feet of Lord Jagannath, then one garland fell from the hands of Lord Jagannath on this baby. And the servants of Lord Jagannath, when they saw this, they were so happy and they told Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's wife that your son will become a great Vaishnava Acharya. He would propagate the glories of Lord Jagannath all over India. So, Bhagavati Devi was very happy to hear this. And then they stayed there for some time in Puri. Then Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was shifted to Bengal again because this was government service, so he was transferred. So then they left Puri. And when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was the deputy magistrate of Krishnanagar, so from Krishnanagar, he was going to Navadip at the weekend. Because initially Bhaktivinoda Thakur thought that he would retire and go to Vrindavan and do his bhajan there. And one day he had gone to Tarkeswar in Bengal, where Lord Shiva is very famous. And Lord Shiva told Bhaktivinoda Thakur in dream that now you are planning to go to Vrindavan, then who would excavate the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya? If you go to Vrindavan, who would do this? Then when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur heard this from Lord Shiva, then he changed his mind. He said, now Lord Shiva is ordering me to excavate the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya. So this is my prime duty now. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur used to go from Krishnanagar every weekend to Navadip. Stay Saturday night, Sunday, then Monday morning he would come back to Krishnanagar. So one day, one night when he was sitting on the top of the building at night time, he saw a light which was coming from the other side of the Ganges. He was in Navadip side, the light was coming from the other side of the Ganges. And when he saw that light, he saw a marvelous palace building. And that light was coming from that building. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur was very much surprised to see this. And with him, his son was there, Arnada Prasad, perhaps. So he was there, and one servant was there. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur asked his son, did you see that light? And he said, yes, I saw this. But he asked his servant, did you see that light? His servant said, no, I could not see anything. So then, next morning, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur asked the local people that whether there is anything on the other side of the Ganges. Then the local people said, there is nothing, only paddy fields. And one tal tree was there. So then Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur went back to Krishnanagar. Next week when he came, again he saw the same light. So then Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur started inquiring, because he thought this must be the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, because Lord Shiva has told him to excavate. So he wanted to find out from the maps of Navadip. So there was an engineer in Krishnanagar who was a friend of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So he told him to get a map of Navadip. And when he got a map of Navadip, then he went and asked the local people, the other side of the Ganges, about the names of those places. So then he came to know that there was the palace of Balal Sen, the old palace of Balal Sen. He found out. And then from Bhakti Ratnakar, he found out the name Mayapur, where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had appeared. So that time, people were reciting the name of Mayapur as Miyapur. Because so many Muslim people were living nearby, so they were telling Miyapur. So then Bhaktivinoda Thakur, taking the map and following the local direction, he found out this Mayapur Dham, where he had seen this light. So then he thought this must be the birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And to confirm this, again he brought Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. And Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj was a great liberated soul. And he was unable to walk and he was unable to see even. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur brought him, putting in a basket. People were carrying him. And when Srila Jagannath Das Babaji arrived at Mayapur, the same spot where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, he jumped off the basket. Though he was unable to walk, he jumped off the basket and started dancing, chanting the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So when he did this, then Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur thought that this must be Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birthplace. Otherwise, how is it that Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj became very ecstatic just arriving in the same place and chanted the holy name of the Lord ecstatically? So he confirmed that this is the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, after confirming the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, then he went door to door, begging from people to build a nice temple for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So now when we go to Mayapur, we see the Yoga Pit, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birthplace. That is the result of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's hard effort, hard endeavor, that he established the birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, propagated the holy name of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in this way, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur actually showed us the birthplace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and also gave so many Vaishnava literatures. Just by reading those literatures, one would be able to understand the whole Vaishnava philosophy. So we are very, very indebted to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur for this. And will always remain indebted. Unless he would have saved this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, then now we would have been nowhere. So that's why he is called the seventh Goswami. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is called the seventh Goswami. So in this way, we are all very much indebted at his lotus feet, and we would pray at his lotus feet to bestow his mercy on all of us so we can become an instrument in the hands of our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada to propagate this Krishna consciousness all over the world and make people Krishna conscious and give the opportunity for the people to go back to Godhead. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakur ki, Jai Srila Prabhupada Ji Maharaj ki, Jai Gaurav Bhakta Vrinda ki, Nitai Gaur Pramanande, Hari Hari Bol.
His Holiness Bhakti Gaurav Narayana Swami Maharaj ki